Have you ever heard a story so incredible it makes you question everything you thought you knew? Today, we're rediving into a truly stunning account, the story of a Harvard professor who claims to have encountered the Virgin Mary. This isn't just any story. It's a journey from the heights of academic skepticism to a profound, life-altering experience. So, who is this professor? Let's call him Dr. Alistair Finch to respect his privacy. Dr. Finch was a tenured professor at Harvard, a man whose life was built on logic, empirical evidence, and the scientific method. He taught religious studies, not as a believer, but as a historian and a critic. To him, miracles were metaphors, and divine apparitions were fascinating case studies in human psychology. His world was one of facts, figures, and peer-reviewed papers. Faith was a subject to be dissected, not experienced. But then, something happened that his academic framework couldn't explain. It started subtly. Dr. Finch began experiencing unusually vivid dreams. In these dreams, he found himself in a serene, light-filled garden. A gentle, motherly figure would be there, her presence radiating an immense sense of peace and unconditional love. At first, he dismissed them as stress-induced fantasies. As a scholar of religion, he recognized the imagery. He thought, my subconscious is just playing tricks on me, using symbols I study every day. He tried to rationalize it. Was it burnout? A midlife crisis? He even consulted a neurologist, who found nothing wrong. The dreams, however, became more frequent and more intense. The feeling of peace they brought started to spill over into his waking life. He found himself less cynical, more patient, and strangely hopeful. This was unsettling for a man who had built his career on intellectual detachment. The turning point came not in a dream, but in the quiet solitude of his own study. One evening, while wrestling with a particularly complex academic text, he felt an overwhelming sense of presence in the room. He described it as a warmth that filled every corner, a silence that was louder than any sound, and in that silence, he saw her. Not as a ghostly specter, but as a figure of pure light and compassion, the same woman from his dreams. He said she didn't speak with words, but communicated a message directly to his heart, a message of love, forgiveness, and the importance of faith not as a doctrine, but as a relationship. Imagine the turmoil this created for him. This single experience shattered the foundations of his professional and personal identity. He was a Harvard professor. His colleagues were some of the most brilliant and skeptical minds on the planet. How could he even begin to explain what had happened? Would they think he'd lost his mind? He risked his reputation, his career, everything he had worked for. For months, Dr. Finch kept his experience a secret. He was caught between two worlds. His intellect told him it was impossible, a hallucination. But his heart, his very soul, knew it was real. The peace he felt was undeniable. He started to pray, not out of academic curiosity, but with a genuine desire to connect with that divine presence again. He began to see his field of study not as a collection of ancient myths, but as a living testament to humanity's deep-seated yearning for connection with something greater than ourselves. Eventually, he made a courageous decision. He couldn't continue living a double life. During a guest lecture, he veered off his planned topic. With a trembling voice, he shared his story. He didn't present it as a proven fact, but as his own personal, transformative experience. He spoke of his journey from being a detached observer of faith to becoming a humble participant in its mystery. The reaction was, as you can imagine, mixed. Some colleagues were concerned for his well-being. Some students were inspired, others were simply baffled. The story, however, began to spread far beyond the hallowed halls of Harvard. It resonated with people from all walks of life, people who had their own unexplainable experiences, people who were searching for hope, and even skeptics who were intrigued by the profound psychological shift in a man of his stature. Dr. Finch eventually took early retirement from Harvard. He said he could no longer teach about religion from a purely academic distance. His life had a new purpose. He dedicated his time to writing and speaking, not as a professor proving a thesis, but as a witness, sharing a story. He emphasized that his experience wasn't about converting people to a specific religion, but about opening our hearts to the possibility of mystery and the power of love in a world often dominated by cynicism. So, what do we make of this? Whether you see it as a miracle, a psychological phenomenon, or a moving metaphor, Dr. Finch's story challenges us. It asks us to consider that maybe, just maybe, there are realities that exist beyond what we can measure and prove. It reminds us that sometimes, the most profound transformations don't come from the mind, but from the heart. It's a testament to the idea that it's never too late for our lives to be touched by wonder. What do you think about this incredible story? Have you ever had an experience that defied logical explanation? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Thank you so much for joining me on this fascinating journey today. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more stories that challenge and inspire, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow and bring more content like this to you. Until next time, stay curious and keep an open heart.